I would like to speak on Samuel Schwartz. Now we are 60 years after his death, and he is known as the reviver of the Marranos in Portugal. Schwartz, the discoverer and reviver of the Marranos of Portugal, was born in Poland. He was a mining engineer. In 1915, he moved to Portugal, and in 1917, on a surveying trip to Belmonte, Schwartz noticed a group that married only among themselves and observed the Sabbath and the major Jewish festivals. And so we have seen in the film the story of, we can say today, the Jews of Belmonte, and I leave it apart, and I think that the people knows this interesting story of Belmonte. Schwartz published his discovery in the book Os Cristãos Novos am Portugal Século XX, 1925. And there is also a translation in Hebrew published by Shazar Center in 2005 in Hebrew, with the introduction of Dov Stuczynski, a very large introduction, historic introduction. Today, part of the reconverted, I say, part of the Marranos, especially in Belmonte, reconverted to Judaism and have a communal Jewish life. At about this time, we have to mention Arthur Carlos de Barros Basto, a Marrano who had achieved importance in Portuguese national life and openly began to organize his fellow Marranos in a return to the Jewish fold. These activities, especially in Porto, served to undisclose the practical aspects of Schwartz's discovery. In 1922, Schwartz inaugurated a 15th century old synagogue of Tomar, opening it as a museum for Portuguese Hebrew inscription, and published a study of the inscription of Portugal's early Judaism. Schwartz's book on New Christians, as he called them, which exposes historical details of the Marranos of Portugal, their religion and liturgy, has achieved high academic standing. In addition, Schwartz summarized his vision, and I quote, "The victimhood of tens of thousands of martyrs was not in vain. Jewish concepts still exist among the offspring of the victims." During his life, Schwartz succeeded in raising this issue on the public agenda, and it began to resonate in the Jewish diaspora, but was not continued. Today, the issue is awakening among the Marranos of Portugal, as well as in Marranos diaspora and various institutes of Spanish Jewish culture. It should be emphasized that Schwartz's approach regarding the awakening of the Marranos won great praise from Dr. Ricardo Jorge, an intellectual and public figure in Portugal at that time. Jorge wrote in the introduction to Schwartz's book that the discoveries regarding new Christians were connected to Judaism after years of oppression and secrecy is yet another sign of the Jewish Renaissance, just as the progress of the Zionist enterprise in the land of Israel illustrates. This is word of a non-Jew, Dr. Ricardo Jorge, 1925. It must be pointed out that Jorge words were not included in the Hebrew translation of Schwartz's book, and thus this version should be criticized. The community of Jews in Portugal, as the expulsion approached 1496, as well as the Jews expelled from Spain, who came from Castilla in 1492, was approximately 20% of the population of Portugal in that time. They were forced to convert to Christianity and continued to secretly practice Judaism to the best of their ability. Many have survived until today. Thus, it is possible to estimate that today there are hundreds of thousands of Marranos offsprings, including half Jews, 1/3 Jews, and quarter Jews. For example, in Porto, Covia, you say Covia? Covia. Guarda, Coimbra, Bragança, etc. Despite the fact that Israel and Portugal enjoy diplomatic relations, there is a need to deepen cultural ties as well as the connection with the Marrano's offspring in order to learn of their customs, which are inseparable part of Jewish tradition. Following the request of the Marranos descendants, who have taken an interest in returning to the Jewish roots, it would be appropriate to conduct a survey of Marranos descendants in Portugal. This is the first question to His Excellency, the Ambassador of Portugal. I urge that attention be paid to the President of Ethiopian Jews, where in the 1976 a survey was conducted by Jewish institutions, and the second survey was conducted on the Falashmura by a public non-governmental organization 1999. And these surveys, census, have proven most useful to Jewish state, to the state of Israel until the present day. All the list of the newcomers, according to the state, must be registered in these surveys, census. So we see how important is for the policy, let us say, of the state of Israel, of the government of Israel, these surveys, And although the Ethiopian issue is quite different than the Marranos issue, a similar yet appropriate approach can be taken in Portugal with the approval of the Portuguese authorities. I should state that the census would of course be voluntary and optional for those who wish to take part. And this is, as I said before, my first question to the ambassador, if our organization or other organization will take part in a survey like this, the government of Portugal will accept and permit it. In addition, it would be fitting to initiate in Portugal a procedure similar to that which was recently on 22 November 2012 instituted in Spain, by which the descendants of Jewish families from Spain who do not reside in Spain would be permitted to request Spanish citizenship based on the case-by-case approval of the main Jewish community of Madrid. We hope that this pass will include the Marranos descendants. It will not so easy because, as you know, the Orthodox rabbinate dominates the Jewish communities, and perhaps they will not accept Marranos descendants as Jews, even if the Spanish government open the doors. I request the ambassador of Portugal to transfer this claim to Portugal authorities. I mean that Portugal will arrange the same procedure for descendants of Portugal or Jewish that expelled from Portugal, and Marranos descendants will, in this way, will have a right for citizenship in Portugal. This is not contradictory to the aims of the people of Israel, because we are charged also for the Jewish communities in the world. To conclude, I refer to Schwartz's allegorical vision of Moses. The bush was on fire and was not consumed. Exodus chapter 3. And Schwartz stated, the new Christians will become the inheritors of Jewish faith of their forefathers, which arise from the bonfires of the Inquisition. And I close by saying in Spanish that la cadena de Marranos of Portugal non se rompiera. נצח ישראל לא ישקר. תודה רבה.